الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين الصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد وإلى مدين أخاهم شعيبا قال يا قوم اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيره صدق الله العظيم وقال الله تعالى في شان حق حبيبه مخبرا وآمرا إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم وصل عليه. All praise belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Infinite counsel salutation be upon all of the prophets and messengers, in particular the master and the imam and the leader of all of the prophets and messengers, none other than our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Al-Araf, وَإِلَى مَدْيَنَ أَخَاهُمْ شُعَيْبًا, that we sent Shuaib to the people of Madian. So Shuaib alayhisalaam, Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he is a descendant of an individual named Madian. This person called Madian, he married the daughter of Hazrat Lut alayhisalaam. They had many children, and the children inhabited the entire village. You'll find the same like those of you from Pakistan, be a village, and then people in that village and living in and around each other will be related, because someone owned some land, and then he had children, and then he split the land up, and then they built the houses, and then they split the land up and built the houses, and then the whole area, they're all related, right? So here what we learn is Hazrat Shuaib alayhi salam, he is a descendant of Hazrat Madian, and he was married to the daughter of Hazrat Lut alayhi salam. And Allah Almighty says that he was sent to the people of Madian. The reality is, and what Allah Almighty is telling us here, is he is from them. Elsewhere he tells us that from their brethren. As I mentioned to you before, the prophets and messengers were always sent from amongst the people themselves, okay, speaking the same language, growing up in the same way, living the same lifestyle. And it wasn't a stranger or a traveler or a random person just appearing to say, I'm a prophet of Allah, worship him and obey me. That wasn't the case. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that we sent him to their brethren. And what did he say to the people? Exactly what all of the other prophets and messengers have sent. He said, U'budullah, worship Allah. Worship Allah meaning believe in Allah. Because what were they worshipping? Idols. Piri turi kafir idols. Shuaib alayhi salam is saying to them, worship Allah. Meaning what? Believe in Allah and worship Allah. Because what were they believing in? Idols. And what were they worshipping? Idols. He's saying to them, Ubudullah, ma lakum min ilahin ghayru. You don't have a God other than Allah. Meaning what you have is something you've created, something you're imagining, something you've concocted and came up with yourself. But the reality is you don't have a God other than Allah. There is no God other than Allah. Like there is no Trinity, for example. There is no Father, Son, Holy Spirit. It just doesn't exist. This is just a concept in their minds. They come up with this explanation. What's the reality? The reality is, whether you believe it or not, there is one God, and that God is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then what did he say to the people? He said, قَدْ جَاءَتْكُمْ بَيِّنَةٌ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ. He said, then has come to you bright proofs from your Lord. So many bright proofs have come from your Lord regarding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being your one God. Then he said to the people, this was something general about believing in Allah. Then he said to them that فَأَوْفُ الْكَيْلَ وَالْمِيزَانَ. He said, when you give a full measure. They used to do khiyanat basically. What they used to do is when they used to give something, for example, let's say something was supposed to be a kilo, and they would have like a 950 gram jar. And someone would ask for a kilo, and they'd be like, okay, that's fine. And then they scoop up this 950 gram jar and then pour it in for them and say, there you go. What were they charged them for? A kilo. What were they giving them? 950 grams. Or they'd have scales, and then underneath the scale, they add weight, stick weight underneath. So when you put an item in, it's the item plus the weight underneath, which is going to pull it down. And then you kind of level it up and say, look, this is how much. So what they would do is they wouldn't give people the full measure. But I guarantee you, when they were buying from others, when they were buying, they were ensuring they bought full measure. But then when they were selling less. A modern day example I would give you is someone buys a car. Is he going to check if that car has been clocked back? He's going to check. Person going to check the mileage history, see if it adds up. When he's selling it, he might do something dodgy and clock it back himself. When he's buying it, he won't buy a car that's been clocked back. He'll sell one that's been clocked back, but he won't buy one like that. He might sell a car that's been damaged and not declared that it's been damaged, but he won't buy one like that because he don't want to be conned, but he's happy to con others. So what these people would do is the same thing. They would con others, but they wouldn't let anybody con them, because what did they think? They thought all our suppliers are cons as well, like we are. This is what people happen when people are thieves. They think other people are stealing from them. When people are fraudulent, they think other people are being fraudulent with them, because they think everybody's doing this and everybody thinks like this. Right? So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that Shuaib alayhi salam said to them, give full measure and full weights properly. That when you give something, give it to the proper exact weight. And do not give the people their things in reduction. I mean, if they've paid for a certain amount, give them exactly that same amount that they have paid for. Don't give them less. What's sunnah practice? Always give a little bit more. Right? So for example, you go to the shop to buy some kapra, they'll measure it out 3 meters and they might just give you that much more. That's just to make sure they don't fall into this blame of giving less. Give a touch little bit more, just so that you're safe from being blameworthy in the sense that you're giving people less than what is due to them. And then Yaqub alayhi salam said to them, do not spread mischief on the earth after setting its fair management. So what's happened is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, many nations have come, as you know, Lut alayhi salam people, Ad, Thamud, Allah destroyed them, the more have come, destroyed them, more have come, destroyed them. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends the prophet sets the measure, sets everything in balance, everything's organized, everything's how it's supposed to be, because they start afresh, don't they? When Allah Almighty wipes the non-believers out, it's just believers left behind. Everything starts fresh and resets. Everything is good until this wrong belief and idol worship creeps back in again. So Yaqub alayhi salam is saying to them that don't spread mischief on the earth after it has been set right. Meaning you've been wiped away. We did a reset, got rid of all the non-believers, got rid of all the mischief makers. We did a reset, and now you're spreading mischief again. He's telling them, don't spread mischief. He said, this is good for you if you believe. Yaqub alayhi salam, he was someone who was very handsome looking. Shuaib alayhi salam, was very handsome. I said Yaqub didn't I? Yaqub alayhi salam was as well, because if his son Yusuf alayhi salam was handsome, what do you think his father was looking like? His father was handsome. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent all of his prophets looking handsome looking. Yes? Good looking people. So with Shuaib alayhi salam, he was very handsome looking individual, and he was very fair, but at the same time very straightforward with his preaching. He's saying to them, this is good for you. Like I've explained everything to you. This is good for you if you believe. And he had the kind of attitude of, I'm going to explain everything. If you want to believe, believe. If you don't want to, that's your problem. Right? He would spend all day preaching and calling to Allah, and he would spend all night in worship. This was his way. Hazrat Shuaib alayhi salam. So he has then said this to them, that is good for you if you believe. Then he'd say to them, and sit not on every path threatening and barring from Allah's way to the wayfarers who have believed in him, desiring crookedness in it. So what they would do is, firstly, they would sit on the paths and the roads coming into Madian, and they would say to people, don't go into Madian because there's a man there and he's basically a magician, and he's madman, and he's going to put a spell on you. Because they were thinking that this believing in one God is a spell which will take them away from this worship that they had in their idols and the worship of their forefathers. So Shuaib alayhi salam is saying to them that don't sit on every path threatening people. And what they would do is they would rob people as well. right? So they would rob people, they were thieves, they were bandits. And Shuaib alayhisalaam is saying to them that don't sit on every path, threatening people, barring people, yeah, charging people money for entering into the village. Don't do that, because that is classed as being mischievous and you're desiring crookedness. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that Shuaib alayhi salam said to them, and remember when you were few, He multiplied you. The scholars mention here that when you were few, meaning you were few in number, and Allah Almighty gave you children and you increased in your number. Scholars also mention that when you were few, meaning He multiplied you, as in you were poor and He made you wealthy. You were from villages and He took you to cities. Like if you look at us and our background, we've all come from villages. Our parents brought up in poverty. Their parents brought up in poverty. Brought up in mud huts in villages. Initially it was mud huts. And that's why everybody, then they've come over here, started working, and now we're living in the lap of luxury. Allah Almighty is saying, remember when you were few and He multiplied you. Remember you were poor and Allah is the one who gave you everything you've got now. I remember my mom saying to me when she went Umrah, she said, I could never have thought from where we grew up, the conditions we grew up in, our circumstances, because she was an orphan by the age of 7. Her mom and dad had both passed away and life was not looking good. So she's gone from there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken her to Makkah Sharif and Medina Sharif many times. And when she was there, she was saying to me, I can't believe I'm here, and I can't believe Allah's blessings and mercy where I was and where He's brought me. Like who would have thought a 7-year-old orphan girl from a village in Pakistan and now standing in Medina Sharif doing tawaf of the Kaaba Sharif. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's favor and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. And Allah is reminding them as well here, where Shuaib alayhi salam is saying, you were few in number and He multiplied you. What was the end of the mischief makers? And He says, and behold, what was the end of the mischief makers? Because every time a nation got destroyed, people would tell stories. The stories of Lut alayhi salam, people were well known. The stories of Ad and Thamud, they were well known. These people knew the stories. Shuaib alayhi salam is reminding them, what was the end of the mischief makers? You know the stories. You know what happened to people who committed mischief in the past. So why are you going down the same path? This tells us we should learn from history. We should learn about what happened in the past. What happened to people when they behaved in a certain way or did certain things. So this is what He is saying to them. And then He said, and if there is a party of you who believe in that which I have been sent, and a part of you who believe not, then wait till Allah decides between us, and Allah's decision is the best. And this is what I was talking about, that straightforward preaching. He said, look, if a group of you are believing, a group of you isn't, then let's just wait till Allah decides on who's right and who's wrong. Because what would they say to Shuaib alayhi salam, saying, oh, you're a liar, we don't believe what you're talking about. And if you're true, then why doesn't Allah punish us? Why are we just relaxing? We've got all this wealth, we've got all this property, we've got all these animals, we've got children, we've got everything going good for us. And you're saying that you're on the right path and we're on the wrong path. And not only that, they would mock Him by saying, oh, all right, you're the only wise one and the upright one around. And this is the kind of attitude which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala finds disgusting, that people have this attitude where you might say to someone, read namaz, and say, "Need tu namaz padhi." You do worry about yourself. Tu changa ban. Leave me alone. What were they saying to Shuaib alayhi salam? They're saying, all right, fair enough. You're the only wise one around here. You're the smart one. You're the only righteous one. So instead of admitting their own wrong, they were saying, okay, they're getting funny basically, saying, okay, you're the only pious one around here. Like you saying to someone, come Taraweeh and say, oh, okay, you go, you're the pious one around here. Nowadays you're becoming pious, right? That's the attitude they had with Shuaib alayhi salam and other prophets as well. So He's saying to them, wait till Allah decides between us, and Allah's decision is the best. So wait to see what happens. Then the proud chiefs of the people of Shuaib alayhi salam, and this was always the case, it was the leaders, the chiefs of the tribes. They're the ones who would speak on behalf of everybody else, and they were the ones who were most arrogant because they had the power of leadership. What did they think Shuaib alayhi salam was after? Leadership. That's why they would then be the first to challenge the prophets, because they felt that was a threat to their leadership. If everybody starts believing in this prophet, he'll become their leader and we will lose our leadership and the perks that we have of leadership. So the proud chiefs of the people said, oh Shuaib, we swear that we will certainly throw you out of our town along with those Muslims who are with you, or you come to our faith. Meaning you believe in our idols, you believe in what our forefathers worshipped and what we worship, and otherwise we will evict you from our town, and we will evict the Muslims from here as well. And then Shuaib alayhisalaam said to them that, shall I believe in what you believe even though I hate it? He wasn't shy about what he believed. He said, look, you want me to believe in this even though I absolutely hate what you are believing in, and I absolutely hate what you are worshipping. So the scholars mention here that it's the leaders of the nation who become the cause of the destruction of the nation. Look at what's happening in Pakistan. The leaders of the nation are responsible for the destruction of the nation. Who appoints the leaders? The people. Who ruins the people? The leaders. If the leaders are pious, there's a chance the people who they are leading are going to be pious. And if the leaders are corrupt and crooked, then the chances of the followers being pious. So the leaders, they're the ones, if they want to reform, then they can reform. And if they want to ruin a nation, then they can ruin a nation. Then they would mention various other things like this to Shuaib al-Islam regarding his people, asking them, telling them to worship idols. And Allah Almighty said, the infidel chiefs of his people said, if you follow Shuaib, you shall certainly be losers. So they're trying to tell people and put them off, saying, don't follow him, you'll be losers. Then what happened? They were destroyed. How were they destroyed? Similar to what happened to previous nations. A loud scream. The screams come from Jibreel alayhisalaam. His scream is so severe, it's caused an earthquake. What they've done is they run out of their houses. These people are called Ashabul Aika. Aika is a forest. What they did was they felt the earthquake tremors coming, and they thought that if we're in our houses, the house is going to fall on top of us. So they ran to the forest, and they were destroyed in the forest. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, then the earthquake overtook them. And what time was it again? Morning. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, so in the morning, they fell prostrate in their homes. Not literally homes here. Homes mean in their locality. Again, flat on their faces. Because of belying the prophets. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, those who falsified Shuaib vanished. Meaning those who denied Shuaib alayhi salam, those who didn't believe in him, what happened? They vanished. As if they'd never been dwelling in these homes. Meaning people could go past and be like, did someone really even live here? I can't believe anyone ever lived here. And literally, naam nishan nahi raha unhona. They vanished. And they in that time thought they were big time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dealt with them in a way that they absolutely vanished. There's no name left. There's no sign left. There's nothing left of them. But what's left of the prophets? We're sat here so many, thousands of years later remembering them. Because they are the people of Allah. They will always be remembered. The people of Shaitan, they will vanish. They'll be forgotten. Who remembers Fir'aun? Which of Fir'aun's children remember him? We only mention him because of the way he was and his challenge, the challenges he posed towards Musa alayhi salam. Otherwise, who mentions Fir'aun? Who mentions Abu Jahl? Who mentions Abu Lahab? These tyrants nobody mentions. We just mention them for learning about what they did and how they were. So we can learn from their lessons. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, those who denied Shuaib, they vanished as if they'd never been dwelling in these homes. Those people, they denied Shuaib, were the people who were ruined. They can't say they weren't told. That comes the day of judgment, they can't turn out to Shuaib alayhi salam and saying, you didn't tell us, told you, I told you clearly, I warned you. At that time you were getting funny and giving me stupid answers. I did my job, which was what? To explain, to tell, to call. And ultimately, their fate is their fate. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then says, then Shuaib turned his face from them and said, O my people, I've already delivered to you the messages of my Lord and admonished you for good. How then shall I be sorrowful over the infidels? And we'll conclude with this point. Again, this goes back to the point I was mentioning about his straightforward preaching. That he's saying, look, my people, I've delivered the message. I've done my job, which was to call you to Allah. And I've done that. And I did it for your good, not for my good. The scholars mentioned that Shuaib alayhi salam was a wealthy individual. He had a lot of property. He had a lot of animals. And he was a wealthy individual. And what did every prophet say to his people? I don't want any wage. I'm not asking you for a wage. I'm not asking you for money. I'm not asking you for anything. All I want is for you to believe in Allah. All I want is for you to obey Allah for your own good, not for my good. So all the prophets and messengers, who they're working for Allah. And therefore Allah Almighty provides them. When it comes to the Khulafa Rashidun, then for example, in the time of Hazrat Abu Bakr, Hazrat Umar, Hazrat Osman, Hazrat Ali, except from Hazrat Osman, because he was already so wealthy, they had wages paid by the treasury because they're carrying out an official role, which is different for the caliphs. Right? They're allowed to have financial support so that they can then carry on with the work that they're doing. But with regards to prophets and messengers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kept them always knocking on his door. And he provided for them abundantly through various different means. It's like when you come here for Taraweeh, nobody asks you for anything. You just come here, and what we try to do is give you something and then you go away. No one's asking you. There's no charge, there's no fee, there's no subscription. It's just come. And when we say to people, come to Taraweeh, we're not going to rob you when you come here. Well, I could if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. We're not asking anybody for anything. A brother said to me, the room hire for this room, how much is it? I said, £65 a night. Or you should ask everybody to chip in and pay towards it. I said, I don't want to ask him that. I just want to follow this route of the prophets by saying, just come. I'm not asking you for anything. I'm not asking for anything personally. I'm not even asking you anything from an organizational point of view. I just want you to come. I don't want you to be put off by anything. Just come and learn about the teachings of the Quran and strengthen your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and strengthen your relationship with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Shuaib alayhi salam, does anybody know which prophet he met? Jazakallah. Prophet Musa alayhi salam. So Shuaib alayhi salam and Musa alayhi salam were contemporaries. Musa alayhi salam was sent to the people of Fir'aun, Egypt. Hazrat Shuaib alayhi salam was Madian. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam left Egypt and came to Madian. He married a daughter of Hazrat Shuaib alayhi salam. Okay. Whereas Lut alayhi salam and Ibrahim alayhi salam were contemporaries. Ibrahim alayhi salam is the uncle, Lut alayhi salam is the nephew. So Shuaib alayhi salam's job was just for that locality, people of Madian. Whereas Musa alayhi salam was the people of Banu Israel and the people of Egypt. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all tawfiq and understanding. Wa akhiru da'wahum alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina wa maulana Muhammadin wa ala ali sayyidina wa maulana Muhammadin wa barik wa sallim wa salli alayhi.